I'm 73 years old, and I've traded my freedom for money for decades. And this is the price no one in this country ever tells you about. You think making money will bring freedom? I used to believe that too. Believed it so much that I poured my entire youth into 60 hour work weeks, some years even holding down 2 jobs at once, just to chase what they call a better future. I thought sacrificing a few early years, skipping weekends, skipping quiet evenings, skipping family time was only temporary. I told myself, later I'll live better. Later I'll have time. Later I'll be free. But that later, I chased it for decades and never reached it. I was too young back then to understand that every hour I sold wasn't just time. It was a piece of freedom, a piece of life, a piece of myself. I didn't realize that the first price of making money isn't health, isn't family, but the thing I valued most without even knowing it, my own freedom. When I was 52, my body collapsed right in the office on an evening when no one was left except me, and the harsh white light shining down on my desk. I remember staring at the screen, trying to finish one last report before heading home. My eyes burned. My head felt heavy, like someone was pressing down on it. But I kept telling myself, just a little more. I stood up to reach for some files, and my legs suddenly buckled. A wave of dizziness hit me out of nowhere. My head spun. My breathing shortened. My heart pounded so hard, I could feel every beat against my chest. I grabbed the edge of the desk to steady myself, but my sweaty hand slipped. Just seconds later, everything went black. I don't remember how I fell, only a cold sensation running down my spine, before losing consciousness completely. When I opened my eyes, a blurry white ceiling came into view. I heard the steady beeps of the heart monitor. The hospital lights made me blink repeatedly. I looked down at my arm. IV needle, wires, machines everywhere. My wife was sitting right by the bed, hands clasped tightly, her eyes filled with fear and exhaustion. She looked at me like she had been preparing for the worst. When the doctor came in, I knew what he was about to say wouldn't be easy to hear. He looked at me for a moment, long enough for me to see the seriousness in his eyes. Then he spoke slowly, word by word. You don't lack money, you lack life. I lay there motionless, feeling like my heart skipped a beat. I waited for him to continue, and he didn't hold back. If you keep working like this, you won't live another 10 years. There was no bigger warning than that. I looked at my wife and saw her trying to stay calm so she wouldn't break down crying. I lay there, listening to the steady beeps of the heart monitor, each one reminding me I had just escaped death. And in that moment, I began to understand the things I'd been deliberately ignoring for decades. I had let work dictate my entire life. Every morning waking up, every rushed lunch, every evening coming home after everyone was asleep, every weekend filled with must-do tasks, all revolved around work. I told myself I was doing what was necessary. I believed I was building a better future, but lying in that hospital bed, with a body too weak to even lift my arm, I finally faced the truth. I was no longer living my own life. I lived by meeting schedules, demands, pressures, expectations. I had no freedom. I had no time for the little things I once loved. No space to truly breathe. I had worked to the point of losing the ability to feel life. I couldn't remember the last time I sat down for dinner without thinking about emails. Couldn't recall the last evening walk without carrying worry. Didn't know the last time I laughed freely. A voice in my head said, if I die tonight, I haven't lived a single truly free day. That thought stuck with me, leaving me motionless, not from illness, but from realizing how many years I've been running, without knowing where I was going. I thought I was in control of my life, but now I knew I was just being dragged along. I let money decide my schedule, work decide my mood, success decide my worth. I traded away my freedom little by little until it was gone, and I hadn't even noticed. And in the silence of that hospital room, with the heart monitor still beeping steadily, I realized for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one who owned the money. The money owned me. After that hospital stay, I started looking at my life differently, and that's when the regrets came crashing down like a heavy rain I couldn't avoid. The first thing that gripped my heart wasn't the big decisions, but the small moments I should have lived fully. The early mornings I once wished for, just sitting on the porch with a hot cup of coffee, watching the sun rise. I never had them. The quiet afternoons, when the breeze blew gently through the yard, when everything slowed down a bit, I passed them by. The short weekend trips my wife suggested, just leaving the city for a few hours to breathe fresh air. I always said next week, then next month, then when I retire. I said that for over 20 years, only to realize when I retire was an empty promise I made to myself to feel okay about what I'd lost. But it never came back. My youth passed in endless overtime days, and I didn't notice freedom being taken, not in one big yank, but in small daily, weekly, yearly trades. But the biggest regret was with my family. I missed my daughter's school plays, my son's baseball games, proms, graduations where I should have been in the front row, smiling and proud. I wasn't there for the moments people later call childhood. I remember one time my son stood at my office door, holding a small trophy he'd just won, his face beaming. I was on a conference call and just held up my hand to wait a minute. He waited a few minutes, then quietly walked away. That evening I asked why he didn't show me the trophy, and he said something that hurt in a way no injury could compare. "Dad, you're always working. I didn't want to bother you." I didn't realize that when I lost my own freedom, I also lost the chance to watch my kids grow up naturally and closely. I didn't just trade away my youth, but my children's childhood too. Then my parents. I didn't call often. I didn't come home for holidays, always saying I was busy with projects, meetings, end of quarter targets. I thought they'd always be there, that I could make it up some other day, until that day never came. I stood at my father's funeral, looking at his portrait, and the only thing echoing in my head wasn't what I had done for him, but all the calls I never made, all the dinners I promised to come home for, but didn't, all the times I thought tomorrow. There is no tomorrow, not for them, not for me. My friends gradually disappeared in a way I didn't notice. Some moved, some started families, some lost touch, and some passed away forever. A close friend of mine died at 64. He'd worked almost his whole life, always saying, "Next year I'll relax." At his funeral, his son said something that still echoes in my head. My dad was successful, but I didn't know who he was. I looked at that boy and saw my own kids in him. I saw myself in my lost friend. Then I wondered, have I become someone my children don't really know? What have I lived for, if the most important people to me didn't feel it? But the biggest, deepest regret was with myself. I once had real passions. I wanted to learn guitar, to paint, to take a road trip across America, stopping in small towns, eating at roadside diners, talking to strangers. I wanted to hike, camp, feel the smell of earth after rain. I wanted a life full of experiences, not just bills and quotas. But every time I thought about starting, I said the familiar line, "Not yet." And then my body aged, health declined, and the things I dreamed of became too late to do. I have money. I have the stability everyone thinks is enviable, but I no longer have the years to do many things my soul has been waiting for over 3 or 4 decades. And that's the most painful truth a man can face. realizing you've let life pass right before your eyes while you weren't even there. In the end, when I gather all those regrets, only one sentence remains clearer than anything else. Money can buy many things, but it can't buy time. It can't buy youth. It can't buy freedom. After all those regrets, I had to change. Not because I wanted to, but because I understood that if I didn't, my life would end much sooner than I'd ever imagined. After nearly dying, everything inside me felt dismantled, then slowly but firmly put back together differently. I started by learning to say no, something that seemed simple but was harder than any skill I'd learned in my career. The first time I turned down a late meeting, my hands shook so much I had to clench them tight. The first time I turned off my phone on a weekend, I felt restless, like I was doing something wrong. But then I realized, nothing fell apart. The world kept turning when I rested. Work went on when I stopped. And for the first time in years I felt my own breath fully. I started walking every morning, not to burn calories, not to hit a goal, but just to feel the ground under my feet and the sky above. Some mornings I only went a few hundred yards, others farther. Every step reminded me I was still alive. I started reading again, books I'd bought in my 40s, but never opened. I practiced breathing, training my mind not to race with deadlines. I learned to cook, clumsily and slowly, but I loved how the kitchen filled with aromas, how I could stand there without rushing, without checking my phone, just focused on what I was doing. I spent more time with my grandkids. They climbed all over me, demanding stories, demanding pretend play. At first I was awkward, but then I realized kids don't need much. They just need you there, fully and peacefully. I paid more attention to the small things I'd never noticed before. Birds singing in the morning, sunlight through the window, the breeze making the curtains flutter, the smell of fresh coffee, my wife's laugh when I told a bad joke. Those little things turned out to be what I'd missed. My whole busy life. I tried to reconnect with my kids. It wasn't easy. The years I was absent created a bigger gap than I'd thought. At first our conversations were stiff and short. My son replied to texts briefly. My daughter was polite but distant. I understood I couldn't demand closeness just because I wanted it now. I'd taken years to create that distance, and it would take time to close it. But I started small, checking in little by little, actively listening, showing up for their important events, inviting them to dinner, walks, or just calling to say I miss you. Not every day went smoothly, but bit by bit, they opened up again. There were moments my daughter dropped by unexpectedly, just for tea. My son sent pictures of the grandkids saying, "Come play with us." Each small sign let me know I was on the right path, no matter how slow. I learned to enjoy freedom, something I'd never truly had in over half my life. My mornings no longer started with work messages. My evenings no longer drowned in emails. I went to bed with a lighter mind, and woke up without the weight of the world on my chest. I felt present in every moment, but at the same time, the regret stayed, like a shadow I couldn't shake. Even though I know I'm living better now, even though I cherish what's left, I can't forget the bitterness when I think about the years gone. Many times I sit alone on the wooden chair on the porch, watching the sunset, and I tell myself, I just wish I'd understood this sooner. Even a decade earlier would have been enough. And now, I want to tell you the raw truth, that it took me almost my entire life to understand. Do you have freedom? I'm not asking if you have money, a house, a car. I'm asking, do you have freedom? Or are you just chasing the things society tells you you must have? Are you living the life you chose, or the life your job chose for you? Do you wake up each morning because you want to, or because your schedule pushes you out of bed? You think you own your job. Think again. Chances are, the job owns you. You think you're in control of your life. Maybe your life is just spinning like a fan. you can't turn off. You think one more promotion, a little more money, a little more stability, and then you'll be free. I've been there. I know how that trap works. In this country, everyone's chasing promotions, chasing money, chasing status. You run after one goal. Then the next, you think you're moving forward. But really you're just running in circles. Have you ever asked yourself what you're running for? To buy a bigger house? A newer car? A vacation where you'll spend half the time checking email? Or to prove to people who don't really care that you're doing fine? Face the truth. No one teaches you how to live free. They teach you how to be a smoothly running cog in the machine. They pat you on the back when you work through meals and sleep. They praise you when you're ambitious. But they won't be lying next to you in the hospital bed when you collapse. They won't give back the time you lost. And when you're gone, your job will replace you in less than a week. Let me ask you one more question, and I want you to answer honestly to yourself. If you died tomorrow, would you be proud of the freedom you had? Not your achievements, not your bank balance, not your reputation, but your freedom. Have you ever lived a single day completely on your own terms? A day not dragged along, not controlled, not forced to be anyone other than yourself? If the answer is no, then what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Freedom doesn't come on its own. Freedom doesn't knock on your door. Freedom doesn't show up when you're more settled, less busy, or making more money. Freedom has to be protected. And the truth is, you're the one selling it away, hour by hour. Every time you take on work you don't want. Every time you miss dinner with loved ones. Every time you let emails interrupt your evening. Deadlines invade your weekend. Every time you say later, you're cutting away a piece of your freedom. I did that for 30 years. Don't repeat me. Call your parents. Don't wait until you're standing at their funeral, realizing how many times you could have said, I love you. Spend time with the people you love. Everyone thinks they'll have more time, but no one really does. Take that trip you've put off for 10 years. Don't wait until your body won't let you. Do the thing that makes you feel truly alive, even if it's small, silly, brings no benefit except happiness. If you want to learn an instrument, start now. If you want to paint, paint now. If you want to walk in the morning, do it tomorrow. Don't let your life become a list of laters. I'm saying all this not to scare you, but to wake you up. You can change direction. You can reclaim your freedom. You can live fully, not just exist, but only if you start right now. Not after the next promotion, not after the debt is paid, not when the kids are grown, not when you retire, but right now. Today, if you're brave enough to choose it. 20 years have passed since the day I lay motionless in that hospital bed, listening to the heart monitor beep, steadily reminding me I didn't have much time left to waste. In those 20 years, I've lived differently. I've lived slower, lighter, more truly. I spend time with my wife, my children, my little grandchildren running around the yard. I've learned to enjoy mornings without rushing, evenings without emails pulling me away. I talk more, listen more, look at life with a calm I never had before. For the first time in my life, I feel the freedom I'd lost for decades. But even as I'm grateful for every day I have now, I still have to face a truth no one escapes. No amount of money can buy back the freedom of your 30s. That's not a complaint. That's reality. I don't blame myself. I don't resent anyone. But I regret the years I existed without really living. I regret the moments of youth I let pass. I regret the days I chased work while life waited outside the door for me to step out. And I don't want you to carry that regret to the end. So before I close this story, I want to tell you one simple but vitally important thing. Don't postpone happiness. Don't wait until you're less busy, more settled, richer to live the way you truly want. Life doesn't hand you perfect moments. If you don't choose to live now, you'll keep pushing it to a day that never comes. Don't sell your freedom for things you don't really need. Your house can be smaller. Your car can be ordinary. Your job doesn't have to impress the person next to you. But if you have freedom to breathe, to love, to live, you're far richer than those who only have money. And don't trade your youth for a desk. Don't think blind hard work will automatically lead to happiness. I sat at that desk for decades and only realized what I'd lost when it was too late. You don't have to pay that price. Live in a way that feels light to you, not the way society applauds. Spend time with the people you love while they're still here. Do what makes you feel like yourself. Let life be something you own, not your job, money, or status. And if I had to sum up everything I've learned in one short sentence, it would be: money can wait for you. Freedom can't. If this story touched you, please share it. And let me know, what will you do differently while you still have time? If you want to hear more real stories like this, please subscribe so you don't miss anything. And if my words made you think, follow my journey ahead. There's still a lot I want to share.